Tonight's HRC Visibility Award honoree has been bravely sharing her story and advocating for the transgender community for the past 20 years. Candis Cayne is an actress and performance artist who began her career in the nightclub scene in the 90s. Candis came to the national attention in 2007 for her groundbreaking recurring role of a transgendered mistress on ABC's hit show, Dirty Sexy Money. Some of you know it. Importantly, the role made Cayne the first transgendered actress to play a recurring transgendered character in primetime. Good news. Candis has appeared in movies such as Wigstock the Movie, the drama demi Stonewall, and Universal Studios comedy Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, for which she also did the choreography. She has a recurring transgender role on Nip Tuck, guest starring roles in episodes of Drop Dead Diva and Necessary Roughness, and currently has a recurring role in Elementary. Most recently, she has been seen on E's unprecedented docuseries, I Am Kate. Let's take a look at some of her work.
Mr. Darling, Trip. I am a living, breathing testament to the fact that nothing, and I mean nothing, is impossible. I'm gonna do you the favor of not telling Patrick we had this conversation because he would be terribly hurt. And that's the last thing I want. I see where Patrick gets his good looks. Give me breast implants. I'll grow out my hair. I'll start dressing as a woman again.
You want to be a chick with a dick? I mean, can't you just make up your mind?
That's a very offensive phrase, Dr. Troy. In the trans world, that's the equivalent of calling an African American the N-word.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Maybe I changed my body as an attempt to be accepted. But I finally realized that I've always been the same person on the inside, and I'm very proud of that. Giving me boobs again isn't gonna change who I am. It's just gonna give me a chance to be with the people that I need to be with.
As an actress, to be doing roles and like going to auditions, that's like a huge thing, right? But like then you have other stuff like life and trying to pay rent and try to get medical care. Your voice is powerful. It's who you are. It's your identity. You were this other person, and you're allowed to be both. You're allowed to start from one place and end in another and not completely erase who you are. And your voice has a lot to do with who that is.
She's a performance and trans icon.
Actress Candis Cayne.
Candis Cayne.
Candis Cayne! Yay!
I was the first trans to play a trans role on primetime television. My parents were really amazing, and they kind of just let me be who I wanted to be and never really questioned it.
You know, a lot of girls that are in my situation, they don't have the opportunity or the support or the background to really try to let things go and work for a dream of theirs. I'm happy to represent our community, you know what I mean? I'm not the activist that goes out in the street and marches, but I'm more of the activist who's like, every show I've ever done, I've had to school the writers and other people of, you know, what trans women do and what they don't do. Doing a lot of shows in the past, I had to educate as I worked. And so now people kind of know about it. And especially like on I Am Kate, everybody was kind of taught how to talk to trans people, how to react with them. So every time you're in that production, every time you're on set, you feel like it's a safe place. For the first time, I feel like the wind is on my back as opposed to like on my face.
My whole point to this is to not only tell trans children that they're okay, but their parents, that this is just something that some human beings are. You know, people in the middle of, you know, the country that don't usually follow on pop culture, just that visibility is really helpful, especially to younger trans kids that are coming out and confused and they don't know where to go or what to do, like they can see somebody like me and say, okay, I can do this. You know, I have somebody to look up to.
Please join me in congratulating HRC's Visibility Award honoree, Candis Cayne.
So you say I'm complicated, but you've had me underrated.
That's incredible. Thank you guys so much. I already started crying during Wells Fargo. This is so surreal. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, HRC. This is incredible. I love you too! God! I've been supporting HRC ever since Dirty Sexy. It's been a long time. I've been starting to coming to their events, and it means so much to me. Human rights, they're so important. And it's not just our rights, it's everybody's rights. It's the world's rights. And I realize that I represent just a fraction of people that are in dire need of local, national, and world support. I've been at this a while. And you know what, I've seen a lot of change in our community and others' perception of us. This subject has been getting a lot of publicity lately, which is incredible. And I'm so grateful for several reasons. I mean, I started my transition over 20 years ago. I know it's hard to believe. But when I started my transition, there was no blueprint, there was no example of how to do it, other than being lucky enough to meet someone that could help you. My only vision of what transgender was that awful depiction of trans women on daytime talk shows like Springer. I mean, that's what you saw. If you were a trans girl, that's what you saw. Trans people were living in a world where we weren't a part of any community. We were just getting along the best we knew how. You know, I remember thinking 20 years ago that girls had maybe 3 options. They could be a makeup artist at MAC, prostitution, or performing in clubs, and thank God I can high kick. Because I went right there. There was no medical care for us. I mean, until Callan Lord opened in New York City, and at least, you know, when they opened, we felt that there was at least a safe place for us to go where doctors with us could discover what we needed, because no doctors knew what we needed. You know, we were still, for the most part, we got our home runs from the street. We would ask the girls if they knew someone who had any. There were those mythical hormones where it was like, hey girl, you know where you can get those Hawaiian shots? They make your ass really big. Oh, those German ones make your tits go really, out to there. I know you have no idea what I'm talking about, but this is like crazy. This is crazy trans talk in the 90s. Like, it was all like a hope and a prayer. I swear to God. And you know, I would take them until I didn't feel good. I was like in a daze. Like, oh, maybe I should stop taking hormones now. And that was like my gauge. Like, oh, I should back off, maybe. And then there were the Mexican surgeries. Because the doctors there would actually help trans people. We could go to Mexico and get help. But every time you were in the United States and you went to a doctor's office, they rolled their eyes or they gave you a dirty look so you knew you weren't welcome. These were the things that we as trans people had to do. But when you have no alternatives, and you know you have to change your life and your gender in order to survive, much less flourish, that's what you had to do. I remember sitting in my first apartment in New York City on 14th and 9th in the 90s. It was not meatpacking gorgeousness as it is today. It was like the tenderloin or the T-bone steak or whatever you call it here. And I was wondering why I wasn't happy, and then I came to the realization that I didn't want to grow old as a man, I wanted to grow old as a woman. And it was a liberating but horrifying thought to say to yourself, I have to do this. I have to tell the people in my life, and I have to continue a career that is so meaningful to me. So I decided then and there that I was going to transition. I was going to do it on stage in the middle of New York City, and I was going to talk about my experiences as they happened in Chelsea to a bunch of queens who were like, shut up. Yes, girl. But you know, I wanted to demystify the trans community because it was also like smoke and mirrors to the gay community. And I refused to believe that my LGB sisters and brothers would reject me. And I knew that the lessons that my parents taught me would make this transition easier. To be true to your own human experience, to work hard and never back down from your dreams, and to know to be kind and patient when others didn't understand. That's what I learned from my parents who are here tonight, and I'm so proud that they're here. I knew it was going to be a hard journey, but I knew with their love, I knew I wasn't going to be alone. And I want to thank them for being the parents that every trans person needs in their life, because it's incredible. Oh, they hate attention, and I keep on bringing them to these events, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, no. When I was like, I am trans, my dad said, oh, it makes much more sense. And that's why I am the way I am today. Oh, I love that. They're gonna kill me. I am a trans actress. I couldn't do this any other way than being public about it and being open about my transition. Hoping, above all, that if one person in one city in some country can look at me and say, I can do that, I can survive, then it's all worth it. I recently got a letter from this gay boy. I know, it's just the most random letter. I opened it up and in it, he was like, Candis, I just have to tell you that 2 years ago, I was gonna kill myself and I planned the day, and the night before I was gonna do it, I saw this interview you did for some random like public access interview talking about your life and being strong. And he's like, you know what? If fucking she can do it, I can do it too. And he wrote me 2 years later, not even like the next day, like I didn't kill myself yesterday. He like waited and like, you know, worked it out and then wrote me 2 years later and was like, thank you for that, because I don't think I would have been here if it wasn't for you like doing this and being open about who you are. And so that's what it's all about. I mean, it really is for me. It shows like Dirty Sexy Money, Elementary, Sense8, Orange is the New Black, Transparent, among others, that are making such strides in the world by writing dynamic trans characters. When people experience these vibrant, real characters, then maybe they can more easily relate to and ally with real trans people they meet in the world. Do you know what I mean? Speaking of the world, I just had fucked up a little bit there. Speaking of the world and the reachings thereof, there's my dear girlfriend, Caitlyn Jenner. Coming out and truly changing the conversation worldwide. It's true. I mean, personally, being on I Am Kate has truly become an incredible journey of self-discovery. And the show has reached countless numbers of people, and I hope it has touched their hearts in a way to make change. We have a long way to go. As other people have talked to you about tonight, there have been over 20 trans women murdered this year, mostly my trans sisters of color. But we are not going to stop until our community is looked upon by everyone as equal. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.